Hello, I'm Mark Schechter with Ideal Luxury, where we buy, sell, trade, and make loans on watches, diamonds, and jewelry. Welcome to another edition of Question Mark, where we answer popular questions about these luxury items. Today we're discussing how to buy a diamond engagement ring. As always, know who you're doing business with, especially for such an important purchase. Also consider where the ring is exciting with all the options that are out there and how popular they are. Focus on the diamond first and the ring second. The diamond is the more expensive, larger investment, and it's something you'll have a much longer time. The ring, they can be fashionable, and you might replace it at an anniversary in 10 or 15 years. As far as the ring, try not to go too trendy. You want something that's going to last. The example being, there's always a market for a white, silver, or black car. The red or the blue car may be a little tougher down the road. Let's take a closer look at some options. All right, let's see if we can help you pick out the perfect engagement ring. We'll spend some time on both form and functionality to give you some things to consider when evaluating the perfect ring. We'll use some photographs on the screen, give you a little variety to work from. But again, try to avoid anything too trendy. It'll make it last. And then put some thought to not only the ring that makes you smile and gets you excited, but also how you're going to use the ring, how you typically use your hands. We'll start with this first image on the screen. Of course, right now, very popular, the diamond halo setting. This is a nice cushion cut diamond with the diamond halo as well as the diamonds on the shank. If you're typically rough on things or hard on things or use your hands a lot when you work, whether it be in the garden or maybe construction, or you're banging against things, you're a teacher, you want to think about this particular style. You will knock those little stones out. It's gold or platinum. They are soft metals. They're small stones. Doesn't take much to the strength of one of those stones to move one of those prongs. You'll look down one day, you'll gasp, there'll be a diamond missing. Not a big deal, you can replace it, but if you're hard on things, you will be replacing things on a regular basis. This would be a good setting if you're easy on things, not necessarily if you're hard on things. Same thing with the second example. That's a nice diamond halo with a round cut stone. Beautiful, beautiful ring, very popular, but probably not the best choice if you use your hands a lot to work. Or let's say you're a nurse or a physician and you wear latex gloves. A high profile setting like this is going to tear through those gloves. You might want to consider something that's a little rougher and or maybe sits down a bit lower. The next example, traditional 3-stone ring, very tough settings. You're not going to knock these stones out. Those prongs are very tough. You'll get in the habit once you have a ring of rattling up to your ear in a quiet room. If you hear it rattle, it would indicate that the setting might be loose. You need to take it to a jeweler to have them strengthen those or reset those prongs. But for the most part, if you are tough on things, a 3-stone setting like this one or the next one with the emerald cut stones would be a good example of a nice, firm, popular setting that maybe won't set up quite as high as some of the solitaires would in that particular example. You're also going to want to put some thought to the different types of metals. I'll actually keep looking here. This next example, let's say this is 18 karat white gold. It's bezel set. That diamond isn't going anywhere. Maybe it sits up a little high depending on if you wear gloves or if you might catch the diamond on something, but the diamond's not going anywhere. If you look at the next photo is a profile of this stone. It's held very, very firm. But in terms of what it's made out of, you need to think about gold versus platinum, 14 karat versus 18 karat. If you have any allergies, typically someone that has a skin allergy, they're allergic to some of the other metals that's mixed into the lower grade alloys, like a 900 platinum or a 14 karat gold has more nickel and silver in it. Typically someone that has allergies, if they wear platinum or 18 karat, they won't notice it as much, if at all, so that's something for you to think about. Gold versus platinum. Platinum used to be more valuable, so it was very popular. Right now they're similar in price point. One thing to consider, if you had white gold or platinum, platinum does dull faster, lose its luster faster than 18 karat and or 14 karat, so something to think about. Also, 14 karat is harder than 18 karat. 18 karat has more gold in it. It's softer. It will ding and or those prongs could move easier, but chances are you're not going to have a problem with either. You might want to focus more on the appearance and or the allergies. In terms of Namesake, up on the screen now, the Tiffany Company 6-prong knife setting. This is the most famous solitaire setting probably in the history of jewelry or engagement rings. Very, very simple way to present a stone. You'll see in the second photo from the profile, very simple, very clean, and very popular. One thing to consider with Namesake jewelry, and we'll go ahead and put a popular Cartier style up on the screen here next with this round halo. You're going to pay more for the name. It'll be worth more later on for the name. Tiffany and Cartier, as an example, make beautiful, beautiful pieces. Something that you can be proud of for years to come. You'll have to decide whether you think the premium is worth it. You probably won't catch back up to that premium anytime soon, but it will be worth more if you ever had to sell it or you want to upgrade it to another setting at some point. Most people feel the Namesake isn't quite worth the money. They do make nice pieces. Last but not least, this real popular Cartier emerald cut stone with some micro diamond set, bead set along the shank. But looking at Namesake pieces, something to consider. This next photo, another real popular thing to do these days is an antique setting. A lot of modern settings are actually modeled after antique settings, or you can actually go to a secondhand dealer, a pawn shop. We carry Ideal Luxury antique pieces as well. Secondhand dealer or pawn shop will carry some antique settings like this, and you can change the stones out. A lot of character. Maybe not the best choice if you're hard on things because they are old. Need to be treated obviously with additional care. If you're banging things around, might not want to consider an antique setting. Again, in this next photo, you'll see all the mill work and filigree along the sides. A lot of designers work very hard to mimic this with new settings. You can actually go out and get an antique setting and use settings. I've heard people say, well, I don't want to wear someone else's ring. Look, again, I've covered it before in our diamond sessions. There's no such thing as a used diamond. They're all very old rings. If you can get over the fact that someone else had it, you can enjoy the nostalgia of it. Sometimes they're less expensive. If it's going to be a problem or bother you, then you probably want to steer away from antique rings and or used rings. You can get a diamond from a pre-owned dealer and then set it in a new setting. In terms of wedding bands, I've heard people say, well, what about the wedding band? Should I wear a wedding band? There may be some that argue with me. I think it's personal preference. If you want to wear a band, get a wedding band. If you don't. Some of the real popular diamond halo settings are beautiful without it. And the kind of like this photo, you'd actually have to bend the band around the mount because there's so much going on. But again, it's personal preference. You can decide if you want to wear a band or not wear a band. This is a closer view of that band and how it's bent around the center mount. And then there's your traditional anniversary band with the diamonds that go all the way around. If you haven't tried one of these on, you might want to. They tend sometimes to be uncomfortable for the adjacent fingers, but if they're made properly, it should be comfortable and a beautiful classic way to wear a band. Also something to consider if you are hard on things or you want something low profile, like an example of the nurse or physician that wears latex gloves. You could wear this as your actual engagement ring and not have to worry about it poking through the gloves. If the men want to get a band or you want to help them get a band, you probably want to shop together. I don't know if guys are really looking for something to be surprised about as much as they want to have a say in what they're going to wear. Don't be too alarmed if he's a little concerned about wearing a band. He's never worn something and maybe the gravity of the entire process. So might want to work together. This particular example of a titanium band, very popular right now nowadays, especially with the different finishes. This one is polished on the edges and a satin finish in the middle. Your local paramedic can't cut this with his ring cutter. So if you're playing basketball with your buddies and you jam your finger, if you've got a gold or platinum ring, that ring cutter at the emergency room or at the local firehouse, they'll cut that ring right off. This, they can't cut it off. So make sure you get it off your finger before your finger swells up, or avoid one altogether. Last but not least, an example of a white gold men's band with the diamonds going all the way around. Real nice way to present the band to him or to her. In terms of surprising, take a minute here and talk about I want to surprise her. Well, there's really two ways you can do it. We'll go ahead and put back up on the screen that Tiffany Platinum, in this example, Platinum Solitaire. You don't have to go out and buy a Tiffany ring, but this ring is often replicated. You could get a simple solitaire, focus on the diamond to present and or get engaged, and once you're engaged, then you can kind of shop for a setting together, or you can tell him just to get you a solitaire if he follows instructions for you, right? You can tell him to get you a solitaire, and then you can shop for the setting together. You can also, if you're looking to get her a ring and trying to figure out what the best ring is, you can talk to her girlfriend, her sister, her mother, an aunt, a confidant, someone you know together that might help you pick it out, but not tell her that you're thinking about getting engaged. If you don't want anyone else to know, and you don't want the burden of picking out the perfect ring, then just try for the simple solitaire. You're probably also going to wonder about size and how do I make sure I get the size right. If it's a surprise, just get a 7. It'll most likely fit most women, and then you can size it later instead of trying to guess her size. If you want to guess her size, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You could take one of her rings and actually slide it onto your finger. Let's say in this example that this was a ring that she had in her drawer. I could take one of my fingers, I could slide the ring on and say, oh, it comes right about to here on me, so it should come right about to there if I purchase the right ring. But most jewelry stores will have some devices that can help you either size a ring that she already has. In this example, you have a mandrel. You can actually see what size this particular ring is right at a 5. Or if you measure it against your own finger, then they'll have some ring sizers, something similar to this device, and you can try on a ring until you see that it comes to about the same place. Then they'll look at it and say, oh, she's probably a 5. But if the old saying, measure twice, cut once, if you don't want to have it sized more than once, you might just try and surprise her with a generic size. But hopefully this segment helps you narrow down some of the choices to consider and provide with some information to make it an easier choice. That's all for today. If you'd like your question answered or would like to learn more about buying, selling, trading, or borrowing with Ideal Luxury, please visit our website or give us a call.